In my last video, I owned a 2017 Honda Grom. I had it 30 days. I don't have it anymore. We'll find out why. Alright guys, so behind me here, I have a Kawasaki Z125. And how did I acquire this thing? Funny story is, I went out one day and I was riding my Honda Grom, and a guy pulled up to me at a light and he asked me some questions like, hey, is that bike electric? Is that bike gasoline? I told him it was gasoline. He followed me to the next light and told me to pull over at a gas station. And I went over there and he asked me would I like to sell it. And I told him, oh, I'm not really in the market to sell it. But he offered me the money, man, and it was considerably more than I paid for it. So I just signed the bike over to him and he took it. And I was feeling kind of, saddened that I let that thing go because it was such fun, and fun. That's the whole reason why we should be doing things, right? I mean, if you're not doing things for fun, then essentially you're dead already. Your body just doesn't know it. So I went out there and I found another deal and I picked up this guy, which is a 2020 Kawasaki Z125. This thing runs about 3,200 bucks. I don't know what the situation was, but the kid had it and it was part of it was in a box and it was sitting in the back of his parents' house, and he just told me, give me $2,000 and you can have it. Needless to say, I repurchased it again. So let me show you some of the things about this bike and see if that might be something that you guys might find interesting, and we'll go from there. Yeah guys, so when I first picked up this bike, it didn't really look anything like this. The majority of everything that was in this bike was in this box. I'm talking about, it did not have the fender, it did not have any turn signals. It had some weird link here that lowered it too low. The handlebars weren't on right. It had a flat tire, no mirrors, no turn signals. Just various things on the bike that were just not right. The kid bought it and said that he pulled the trigger on the bike. His friends were supposed to buy the same bike and they never did, so he ended up not getting his driver's license or a motorcycle permit, and this thing ended up sitting in the back of his parents' house for practically a year. And dude, the previous owner had bought it brand new, 1 mile on it, and I think it's a beautiful little bike, man. This is Kawasaki's rendition and competition to the Grom. What do you guys think, man? Does it look pretty cool? There was a couple of things on here that I wasn't too like fond of. I still don't know that I'm really too fond of it, but like these lowered handlebars here, it gives it this really aggressive rake where you're bent over like in a racing position. Now, differently from the Grom sat up more because the Grom's handlebars were like right in here and they came up, so they were up high, so you rode more like a dirt bike. Whereas this bike right here, it's more swept and it's more built like a race bike. It's a great bike. It runs wonderful. I mean, there are a couple of things that I want to let you know. If you guys are in the market for a Z125, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. There's a learning curve here on this bike that you're gonna have to get accustomed to. Number one, I see a lot of guys that say, oh, I'm 6 feet, I'm 6'5", I'm 6'7", I could ride this bike easy. Dude, a freaking giraffe can straddle a motorcycle and say that he's riding it, but you're not riding it comfortably. The correct way that a person is supposed to be seated on this bike is that your legs are supposed to somehow fit in this groove. They did not design this groove like this simply for aesthetics. They didn't make this thing just to look cool. The way you're supposed to sit on this bike is that your legs are supposed to come into this fairing somehow. And Kawasaki, I don't know, in their infinite wisdom, maybe they designed this for some 5'6" Asian guy. But the rear sets here, cramp my legs up, where when I sit on it, my legs come up over it, which is very uncomfortable. It's almost like I'm sitting with my handlebars hitting my knees, which is pretty bad. So I've had to make some changes to the bike. Number one, the pegs. I've looked at a couple of different options for pegs to lower the peg down, and they're very expensive, and they don't even really move it. Like, I really need a good 2-inch drop to get my knees to dip in behind this little area here. I need like a 2-inch drop. Now what I did here is I just unbolted this from the peg from here, and I just dropped it down below this and repurposed it with another bolt to give it about an inch drop. It's not quite 2 inches, but it's an inch, and it's making it better for me comfort wise. And then now I had to adjust the linkage down because it sits too high, so I had to pull this out, bring it back to where it dropped the lever down to where my feet angle just right, and it feels more comfortable. All right, so just because you're 6'5", 6'7", you say you can ride on it, doesn't mean you're riding on it comfortably. And the ergonomics on this bike, they're not cool for a tall rider, because like I said, the rear sets pushes your knees up too high. You're gonna have to make some modifications to make that work. The previous owner stretched this bike too. They put like a little 4-inch stretch. It looks like a stretch because the wheel is supposed to set like right here. Instead it's set right there. Now that's not too bad. Aesthetically, it makes the bike look really nice. You know, I mean, that's like a mod that was done with some purpose. That's cool. I can deal with that. But he took the road hugger off, this road hugger thing. He took that damn thing off, and it made it look naked. Like there was this big old bar and then a wheel, and it looked stupid. Didn't have any way to mount his fender license plate. No turn signals. I don't get it, man. The first things guys like to do when they buy these bikes is they like to take the turn signals off, and they're like, oh, it's too gaudy, they stick out. The whole point of that, man, is they integrate the turn signals inside the taillights. But when they do that, this will blink. But what happens when this thing blinks is that the driver behind you, they just see a blinking light, and they can't tell whether you're turning left or turning right. Okay? By having an actual stalk stick out here, they could see the red light, which knows that's the center, and to the left or to the right of that red, they know which way you're turning. When you've got this integrated and there's just a blinking light right in here, to a guy standing behind you or riding behind you in a car, 2 car lengths behind, they see a little blinking light. They don't have any idea. It looks cool to you as a motorcycle owner, but it does not do any kind of justice to your safety when you're riding. Your intentions of what you want to get done and where you're going, it's not being displayed to the people around you. I'm not a big fan of an integrated taillight. I'm going to put some small lights back on here, one to the left, one to the right. That way you can clearly see which way I'm turning. On the front, they did the same thing. The guys actually pulled these stalks out. I don't think that those stalks look that bad, but they pulled them out and they try to put these little pods right here, these little teeny eggs. Once again, what is a little teeny egg right here blinking gonna do? You know what I mean? To a car that's in front of you, 3 or 4 car lengths away, he sees a white light and he sees a little blinking little thing here. He doesn't know what the hell you're doing. It doesn't make sense. It looks cool, but it is not cool for your safety. So I went ahead and put the actual little stalks back in. Look at it, dude. It's not even that big. These guys are making a big deal out of this crap. It's not even that big of a deal. You know, I swear to God, sometimes, guys, youth is not bliss, it's ignorance. Because when you're young, you do things for the sake of being cool. You don't actually do things for the sake of being smart, safe, or even comfort. If it's cool, great. If it's unsafe, I'm willing to take that chance. Moving on. Anyways, these are the little teeny mirrors also that I found in there. I don't even know where the regular mirrors are that belong inside here. They do go up and over. And I just happened to find these in the box. And I guess these little mirrors here, they actually go on the ends. You're supposed to put them on the end, but I just didn't want the mirrors over there. So what I did is I just put them back over here. And what I found when I sat on it, what's really cool is that instead of looking over my shoulders at what's behind me, hey guys, how you doing? I look under my armpit. So like when I'm actually over the bike, it's actually reflecting under my armpit, a wide open space, and I can see the car from under my elbow to my ribs, under my armpit. I can actually see the car with these little handlebar things. So if you guys get an opportunity and you have something like this laying in your box, instead of mounting it to the end bars here, if you don't like that, mount them like this and angle them under your armpit, to where all you got to do is look down, and this thing is going to reflect under your armpit, and you'll be able to see what's behind you. So what do you guys think, man, about these lower clips? I mean, I admit they do look pretty cool. I'm not a big fan of how forward they rake me like that. After a while of riding, my shoulders hurt like hell. I have bought some extenders that go in here that I will be able to actually lift this thing up like another inch, so that the bars can come up about another inch or so, about an inch and a half, so that I have more upright riding, because this right here kills my shoulders when I ride, man. So moving on, what's the next thing here? All right, the other thing too is, I don't know what the situation is here, but Kawasaki's transmission, it's finicky, man. Trying to get this thing into first gear is a pain, so that if you're at a light and you're in neutral, when the light turns green, you go to click it down into first, nothing happens, man. It just stays in neutral. And you know, you start to panic because the cars behind you want you to hurry up and go, and you can't find first gear. And I end up having to move the bike forward, like rock the bike actually with my foot, either push it back or push it forward slightly, and then click it. Then it goes into first and go. So just to let you know, man, I don't know if this transmission was an afterthought, because I heard that these in Asia started off as automatics, and then they just somehow did a last minute, found somebody that would make a transmission for it. But that's one of the things that I have that's kind of like, it's kind of irking me right now. The rear set's being too high. I feel like one of those derby jockey riders that ride horses in the derby. Yeah, that's how it feels, because the knees are so cramped up here, and with these handlebars so far down and my knees so far up, I'm actually, like I said, I'm riding kind of like this. So how the hell do I turn when it's hitting my legs? It's pretty ridiculous, you know. So a couple of those things are gonna be changed. But as far as the transmission, I found no fixes for that. It says it's normal. They said it should get better as the bike breaks in, because this thing only got 1,000 miles. Can you believe that, man? Can you believe this? A 2020, which is less than a year old, man, because it was purchased in November of 2020, and it's not even November yet, so it's less than a year old, and this thing has 1,000 miles on it. $2,000. Yeah, dude, I had to get it. I didn't have a choice. I sold the Grom. Dude, I got $3,000 for the Grom. I paid $2,200 for the Grom. Hey, man, $3,000. The guy's gonna pull over and tell me, I'll give you $3,000 for your bike, as it is right now. Who am I to say no? Everything's got a price, you know what I mean? But this guy, I just had to give it a shot, man. So I'll be doing more videos of this, you know. So anybody out there that likes the Z125, I want to know a little bit more, I'm gonna actually do my work on this and find all the bugs and try to find all the fixes and relay that information back to you. So guys, if this information was useful to you and you found it, you know, helpful anyway, please give me a thumbs up, like and subscribe, and I will find my way back to you on the next video. You guys take it easy. Bye now.